Just doing a quick video on what buyers should be looking for if they are thinking about buying beginner's guitar for themselves or maybe a member of their family, what they should actually look out for. And I'm going to illustrate this video by giving the examples of an acoustic and solid body electric guitar. Now, the big mistake people buying a guitar for a beginner make, whether it be themselves or a member of their family, is they buy a beginner's guitar for a beginner. And I think the main philosophy behind that is if the beginner turns out to lose interest, then they won't have actually put a lot of money into the actual buying of the guitar, so it's not a big deal if actually the learner fails to learn or just gives it up, and that is a risk. And you know, if you're buying a guitar for somebody, especially, you don't want to end up wasting your money. But what my argument basically is the last thing you want to be doing if you're buying a beginner a guitar is buying them a beginner guitar. Now, this guitar on the right here, which is a Squier, which is a lot of guitars for beginners are Squier guitars, and that's what people aim at. But they shouldn't buy the first starter Squier guitar, the Bullet, which is normally priced around about £100. What they should do is buy a Classic Vibe, which is the top Squier, but second hand. Now, I picked this guitar up in a pawn shop, pawnbrokers, for £140, which is only marginally more expensive than a new Bullet. Now, this guitar is a superb guitar. A lot of people recognise it as that. A lot of people say it's as good as a Mexican Fender, which, you know, those guitars new, actually, you're paying $350, $450, more than that in fact. A new Mexican Fender will probably cost you $550, $600. Now, these guitars are just as good. I play plenty of Mexican Strats, and these Classic Vibes are just as good, and you can pick them up for no money if you look around, if you're patient. I mean, the standard price second hand is between $200 and $250, and you're getting a guitar that's, in my opinion, as good as a Mexican Fender, easily as good. And if you spend a bit of time looking for one of these, whether it be on Gumtree or in a pawnbrokers, you can get them for under £200. Bargain is about $150, and I've managed to do that on 3 separate occasions with Classic Vibes, so they are out there. Just need to look. Now, you know, you need to perhaps do a little bit of work on them if they're second hand, which is just lowering the action, which is just a truss rod turn or two to make them easier to play if they've got a high action. But other than that, they're ready to go. The pickups are perfect. They don't need much work doing to them. Excellent fit and finish. And as I say, you can pick them up cheap if you look around. Under £200, and for that sort of money you're going to get your money back. So even if the learner does lose interest, you can go on Gumtree and sell a guitar like this easily for what you paid for it. So the resale money's there, so it won't actually be wasted, your investment. But the thing about Bullets, the starter Squier, compared to this guitar, is it's a lot harder to play. It's not as well finished. It's not going to sound as good. So, yeah, just kind of reinforce what I'm saying about buying second-hand guitars. You know, you check that they're working, if you can, if that's possible. Sometimes it's not on Gumtree. Sometimes it's not always possible in a pawnbrokers, but a lot of the time they've got an amp. So try it out if you can, make sure it's working. But there's not much that can go wrong with a electric guitar. You know, it's not rocket science. You know, the electronics are fairly simple, and I've never bought a guitar that the pickups have failed. You know, when I got it home, so there's not a lot that can go wrong with them. So yeah, I would definitely advise getting a top quality Squier, vintage modified or classic vibe like this one, rather than buying a new Bullet, because you can get these for not a lot more expensive than a Bullet if you just buy them second hand, and they're going to be so much easier for a novice to play on, and they're going to sound so much better. So yeah, as you can see, really nice guitar for, as I say, not a lot of money. £140 I paid for that guitar. And moving on to another example of a guitar that you could pick up relatively cheaply, that's much better than a standard £150 Epiphone, let's say, that's a laminate, or guitars in that kind of price bracket. This guitar was bought for £200 second hand from a pawnbroker. It's a Sigma guitar. It's the 28H, which is the herringbone version. It's not available anymore, but the 28, the DR28 is, which is very similar. The only difference is that you've got herringbone on the binding there. But basically, it's the DR28, which is still available, is about $350 new. Got this £200. It's still available, and these are superb guitars for the money. Of course, they're Martin copies. Not the brand was originally owned by Martin, but they gave it up, and it's now owned by AMI. So they're AMI Sigma guitars. You can pick these up. The Martin version, the Martin Sigmas, are the older ones made in Japan and Korea. But again, you know, you can pick them up relatively cheaply if you look around. I picked this up for £200. I think you can pick up, you know, these ones which were made since 2011 in that price range. If you look around, I've seen plenty that are in the $250 price bracket. Now these are a bit harder to play acoustics than electrics, so it is a slightly more difficult instrument to start off on. But again, if you get a cheap guitar with a high action, you know, it's going to be a lot harder to play, and it's not going to sound anywhere near as good as a guitar like this. You know, as far as I'm concerned, these guitars are right up there in terms of quality. You get a lot of bang for your buck, especially if you buy second hand, and it's just going to be so much easier for a novice to start on an instrument like this. You're going to keep them interested. See, it's going to be easier to play, and it's going to sound better than a really dirt cheap guitar that's labelled a learner guitar. I haven't done anything with this other than change the strings since I got it. It was only about a year and a half old when I bought it. So, you know, it's come down in price. Somebody sold it on pretty quickly after buying it, and I picked it up at a bargain price. Pawnbrokers some of the time can be better than music shops for second hand gear, because music shops are more likely to know what they've got, so they're more likely to charge you full whack, whereas you've got more of a better chance of getting a deal, because the staff in pawnbrokers are less likely to know what they've got, so you know, there's the potential to get a better deal. But yeah, as I say, a couple of good cheap guitars here. In terms of what they cost me, £340 for the two of them, and new, they probably would have cost me, I don't know, £800. So, you know, easily around about below half price, and they're really superb guitars that punch well above their weight and compete with a lot better quality guitars. Well, a lot better cost, a lot higher costing guitars. The Squier Classic Vibe will compete with the Mexi Fender easily, and I think that the Sigma will compete with a lower end Martin easily. But they're a lot cheaper new, and even cheaper when they're second hand, obviously, so you get the quality, and you don't necessarily need to pay a lot of money if you look around. And it's just going to be so much more easier for a novice to learn and play and stay interested. on these sort of guitars compared with, you know, the lower end Squiers or the, you know, the dirt cheap acoustic guitars that a lot of learners start on. Okay, thanks. I hope you liked the video.